Hey guys, it's Tessa from HandleTheHeat.com. Today we're making homemade cinnamon rolls. Growing up in my house, it wasn't Christmas morning unless there were cinnamon rolls baking in the oven. We used to use the store-bought kind, but it wasn't until recently that I learned how to make cinnamon rolls at home, and they're so much better than the store-bought kind, and they're actually pretty fun to make. So if you'd like to learn how to make cinnamon rolls, then keep watching. In a small saucepan, I'm adding 1 stick of unsalted butter and half a cup of milk. I'm going to cook that until the butter is melted. Next, in my stand mixer, I'm adding half a cup of warm water, and when I say warm, I mean about 110 degrees. And I'm adding 2 1/4 teaspoons of instant yeast, or just 1 whole package if you're using the packages. 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1 whole egg plus 2 egg yolks, and I'm giving that a quick stir to start to combine my mixture here. Next, I'm adding a little bit of salt and some vanilla. After the vanilla, I'm going to add in my cooled butter and milk mixture, and whenever you're using a yeast-based dough, you want to make sure that all of your ingredients are warm, but not too hot, because anything that's too hot will kill the yeast and will completely ruin your dough, so be careful about that. I'm adding about half of my flour, and I'm going to give that a stir with my spatula, and this is going to kind of get the dough started, so that by the time I fit my mixer with the dough hook, it's ready to start incorporating more flour and not make a big mess everywhere. A big powdery mess of flour, which I somehow seem to do every time I bake something in my kitchen. So I'm just adding the rest of my flour gradually with my mixer on medium speed, and I'm going to knead this for 10 minutes. 10 minutes until the dough becomes smooth and soft and doesn't stick to the sides of the bowl. The reason we knead this dough so long, and you can also knead it by hand like I said, is because this is considered an enriched dough. Since it has fats in the form of butter and eggs and milk and also has sugar added, those are all things that prohibit the development of gluten. So it really does need to be kneaded that long to get your dough in the right consistency, the right shape, so that it rises and it makes beautiful, fluffy, delicious cinnamon rolls. I've just placed my dough in an oiled bowl, lightly oiled, and I'm going to cover it with plastic wrap and let it rise until it's doubled, about 1.5 to 2 hours. While it's rising, I'm going to go ahead and get started on my cream cheese frosting. I have my cream cheese here, and I'm adding a little bit of corn syrup. I'm also going to be adding heavy cream, powdered sugar, vanilla, and a little bit of salt. And this cream cheese frosting is so rich and delicious, and the best part is you can make it ahead of time completely and just refrigerate it until you're ready to use. It's super addicting, and you're going to want to spread this all over your cinnamon rolls. So delicious. I'm going to let my mixer do most of the work. Let it mix on high speed so that all the lumps from the cream cheese get out and it's super smooth and luscious. So it's been about 1.5 hours and my dough has risen beautifully. It's double the size it was before. Now it's time to roll the dough out, and I'm going to flour my counter a little bit. This dough, like I said, it's really beautiful to work with. It's not too sticky, so you shouldn't need to use too much flour. Using my rolling pin, I'm going to roll the dough out into a 16 by 12 inch rectangle. And be sure to use a ruler to measure the size of the rectangle. This is going to ensure that you get 12 perfect cinnamon rolls. Rolling this dough out takes no time at all, and it's super easy. You can even let your kids do it if they'd like to. This part's the fun part about making cinnamon rolls. So now that I have my perfectly shaped rectangle, I'm actually going to move it around so that the long side is facing me. I find it's easier to roll the dough out the opposite way and then just flip it so that the long side faces you. We can get started filling the dough. So I have some brown sugar here, and I'm adding 3 tablespoons of cinnamon. These are the ultimate cinnamon rolls. They smell amazing, and there's no cinnamon flavor missing whatsoever from these. I also added just a little pinch of salt. Now I have 3 tablespoons of melted butter. I'm going to brush this all along my rectangle. This is what's going to make the cinnamon rolls ooey and gooey on the inside. So delicious. Next, I'm going to sprinkle my brown sugar cinnamon mixture all over the dough, and don't worry about doing this perfectly. Once we roll up the dough, it'll kind of distribute this mixture everywhere. Just make sure to leave a 1/2 inch border at the very top of the dough, and this is kind of going to create a seam to seal off the dough. Using my fingers, I'm going to roll the dough all the way up into one big log, and I want to make sure to keep the roll pretty tight. I don't want it to come loose when I start cutting my cinnamon rolls. This is what creates that beautiful spiral pattern on each roll where you can see the ooey gooey cinnamon sweet filling. Oh, so amazing. Once my dough is all rolled up, I'm going to place it seam side down and make sure that it's nice and sealed on the bottom there, and shape my log into a nice even shape. I'm going to sprinkle it with a little bit of flour and then cut it into 12 equal portions, and the flour helps to prevent the knife from sticking. Using a very sharp knife, I'm going to run it through to slice my dough log in half, and then I'm going to slice each half in halves. And then each piece beyond that gets cut into 3 pieces for a total of 12. I know it sounds complicated, but just keep watching and it's pretty easy. And this will guarantee that each cinnamon roll is pretty much perfectly shaped. Once I have my cinnamon rolls shaped, I'm going to put them in 2 9-inch cake pans. You can also use one 13 by 9-inch baking pan. I'm just splitting these into 2 pans because I'm actually going to freeze one of these pans so that I can bake them off on Christmas morning and not have to wake up early to make cinnamon rolls from scratch. I'm going to cover both pans, place one in the freezer, and then let the other one sit at room temperature until the cinnamon rolls have doubled in size. About 1 hour is what it took for me. It goes in a 350-degree oven for 25 to 30 minutes or until golden brown, and then they can be slathered with that cream cheese frosting. For the full recipe, including all my make-ahead tips and tricks, see the recipe below or the link below. Alright guys, my cinnamon rolls are all baked and frosted and they smell absolutely amazing. I hope you learned a couple of things about how to make homemade cinnamon rolls. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you next Wednesday for another food video.